All right, I'm here with Aledo head coach Robby Jones. We're talking 3-5A Division One, which that district came out last year after realignment, everybody looked at it and said, "Man, this thing is going to be as top heavy as heck." And then we went through the year, and what we found out is it was top heavy as heck. I mean, that was a top heavy team district, and you guys, when you came up on games that you had to play, you got obviously you went through the district unscathed. Yeah, you faced a Ryan team that looked like they were going to run away, and you're like, no, that's not going to happen. You came back and ended up winning that game. Talk about how difficult it was to go through some of these games in district and how it made it toughened you up when the playoffs came around.
Yeah, those district games were really, really tough. Of course, the first time we played Ryan during the district, they jumped up on us early, and then we responded well the second half, which, I wish we'd have responded the same way in the playoffs. But, uh, you know, our kids did a really good job of not panicking once we got behind. Adrian Fuller made a really good play for us, returning the kickoff there right before half when they had just taken a big lead on us and kind of got us the momentum. And that momentum carried over in the second half of that game and propelled us to a big victory. And then, of course, we had a big battle with Richland uh, at home, and Richland took us into overtime. And I thought, right at the end of the game, I thought Coach Cates was probably going to go for two there at the end, and instead he decided to kick the extra point and go into overtime, which I'm glad he did because things worked out for us in overtime.
You look at the Bearcats, you look at the record, 12-2. Everywhere else in the state, people are excited. You look behind you, you see gold balls everywhere. You can't even fit them in your place. You were just telling me you're not happy at Aledo, though. It's people are like, what's going on? How hard is it to keep that expectation at the level it's at?
I mean, it's not hard to keep the expectation there. It's always going to be here. The people in Lido expect to be playing for a state championship at the end of December, and we feel the same way. Things didn't work out for us last year, but we try to make sure that the kids stay grounded and keep them on their toes and getting after it on a daily basis. That's the main thing is we got to and that's something that I felt like maybe last off season we weren't there. We had a group of kids that have won two in a row and maybe had relaxed a little bit and felt like, oh, it's just going to happen. And we realize now that, hey, it's not just going to happen for us. We got to make sure that we're putting in the work and we're doing everything we can to make it happen this next year.
You talk about some of the players you got coming back, and you got the good thing about you. Sometimes you play in these games where you guys get off way ahead. You get to play some guys. You get to play some guys that will help you in the future. That worked with Caden Finley for like 2 years, 3 years ago when you put him in there. Heck, in my mind, I'm thinking 2 years ago because I don't get to shoot your games that much. Everybody wants the Aledo games when I put it on the schedule. They snack them from me real quick. But I just remember the state final game and then a game at Globe Life where somehow he gets open across the field and that's a 70-yard touchdown. And all I'm seeing is him and nobody chasing him because he's gone. How nice is it to have a guy with that kind of experience and leadership going in this senior year?
Yeah, that's nice, and we're going to have to lean on him heavily next year. He's a difference maker as far as a football player on the football field. I mean, when he's out there, it's a whole new ball game, and we did some different things with him last year to make sure that we're getting the ball to him more. His freshman, sophomore year, he started at the outside receiver. We've moved him into a slot position that we can move him around and get the ball to him in different ways. And we were successful in doing that last year. And we got to make sure we're doing it again this year. Get that kid the ball because he's a different level type of athlete. And when you got a guy like that, you got to make sure you're feeding him.
Well, a couple other positions. Obviously, he's going to need to help out a quarterback situation because you have Gavin transferring out, so you're going to have a new guy in there. And then you might have thought at the running back position you were going to have to kind of break Winkfield in, but because of injuries last year, he ran for about 1,000 yards. He's. I think you're pretty good at plugging him in there now, right? So maybe talk about those two positions and how you might fare.
Yeah, quarterback right now, of course, we're, kind of towards the tail end of our spring practice, and we've got two guys that are competing for the starting spot. We got Lincoln Tubbs, who's going to be a senior. Lincoln played primarily receiver for us last year, but played some wildcat quarterback to come in and give us some run game at the quarterback position. He has moved full time right now in the spring to quarterback. Now he's been a little bit limited because he did participate in the state track meet last weekend. He was on our 4x4 that placed fourth. He split a 48-4, so he's got some toughness, he's got some speed, he's got some athleticism. So he brings a little bit different dynamic to the quarterback that we didn't have last year. Stuff that we're used to. We're used to our quarterbacks being able to run with the football. You know, Haas Haney had over 1,200 yards rushing, you know, when he was the quarterback here. Go all the way back to Luke Bishop. Luke Bishop had 1,400 yards when he was the quarterback. So, you know, he's going to provide that for us. But then we also have a junior, or going to be a junior, in Nash McElry, who actually started 2 games last year. Nash started the Lancaster game and then the Brewer game for us last year because of injuries for the quarterback that we had. And so we feel real good about both guys, you know, and Nash has been getting the majority of the work because, like I said, Lincoln has been limited because he was going to the state track meet, and we didn't want to risk injury and keeping him from participating in that. But both of those guys are very capable, and you know, and more than likely, we're going to go into that first game against Denton Guyer, and we're going to be using both of them just to, you know, figure out, you know, what's the best mix for our team.
Nice. Now, and every time I talk to a coach, they really worry about in this type of years the trenches. You can talk about the offensive line, but the defensive line, you know, with Dempsey, Sanders, and Cyphers there, it seems like it's going to be awful difficult to run on you guys, especially up the middle.
Well, we hope so. We do. We have, you know, all 4 starting defensive linemen are back. You mentioned them, you know, and they're all getting. You know, it's been a crazy week around here as far as the college coaches coming through. It was really crazy this morning. I had 9 different schools that have come through to talk about our kids, and a lot of them are talking about our defensive linemen. You know, and so we feel really good. We got 2 really good bookends with Cyphers and Dempsey, and then in the middle we have Decker Sanders, who's going to be a 3-year starter for us, 2-time All-District player, and then Timon Meeks, who bust on the scene for us last year. He's been picking up an offer a day, it seems like, here recently from the colleges. They come in and they really like, you know, they call him twitchy, you know, how twitchy he is and quick and fast and all that, and getting off the ball. So those guys are going to create some problems. Then you got Chase Wilburn sitting there behind them at the middle linebacker, who's a returning starter for us. But then if you go look at the other side of the ball, we return 4 out of 5 offensive linemen. So we're sitting pretty good on the offensive line as well.
Okay, well, let's just kind of finish off with the district as a whole. Obviously, Ryan's can be stacked again. Richland was pretty senior loaded last year, but they'll have some guys. Talk about what it's going to be like trying to get through there with just the 2 non-district games.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough district, you know, and there's some other teams in there as well that are going to be, you know, much improved. I'm expecting Birdville to be a lot better than what they were with their first year coach last year. Chris did a really good job, and you know, and all those guys are going to, you know, step it up a notch. But yeah, Ryan's going to be loaded. We know that. They're going to bring back pretty much the same team that they had last year, and we're doing the same thing. So the matchup with Ryan's going to be a really big, you know, huge matchup in the state. You know, probably 2 of the better teams in the state of Texas going at it. They're in district play, and then Richland's reloading. I know they've got some really good athletes over there, and Coach Cates' younger son is going to step in and be quarterback. So it's going to be real similar to what they were last year. They just, you know, had graduated a few guys.
Excellent, Coach. Hey, I better get you off this call. I bet there's more coaches out there knocking on your door trying to hand out scholarships. But I do
Yeah.
appreciate you joining me.
Yeah. Hey, no problem. You know, anytime you need anything from me, just holler and we'll get what we can for you.
Thank you, Coach.